Hello and welcome to Only in Illinois, your weekly recap from Reboot Illinois. I'm Madeline Dubeck here with Matt Dietrich, and this week marked a distinction for Illinois, again in the bad category.
Right.
We are now the sole remaining state left in the Union without a state budget.
Right. We were right up there with Pennsylvania. We had some company all fiscal year long going back to July 1st. Pennsylvania this week, they didn't exactly work out a budget or approve a budget, but what happened was the governor there said that he would just not take any action on the budget that the legislature had approved. So it goes into effect on Monday, and Illinois is the only state in the Union still going almost 9 months into the fiscal year without any kind of spending plan.
Okay, so at first blush, it would seem like Pennsylvania and Illinois share several parallels, but then there's a whole other...
Well, the states are pretty similar.
Right.
We're about the same population. We're fifth largest. Pennsylvania is sixth. We're even the same size physically almost, not too much difference there. Big difference though is you have a Democrat for a governor in Pennsylvania. Tom Wolf.
Not
and
the author.
No. And he has, he's working with an entirely Republican legislature. So it's
Mirror
sort of
opposite
of
what we have in
what we
Illinois.
have here, photo negative version of Illinois.
Okay.
And what you had there, one of the differences that I saw in the budget disputes going on is that in Pennsylvania it was really sort of a classic case of Republicans not wanting to raise taxes and the Democratic governor saying we need a tax increase because we're going to have a $2 billion budget deficit. And then you come to Illinois where we have a Republican governor who isn't excited about raising taxes, but he's been pretty open that he'll do it. That reality dictates that Illinois is going to need some more revenue.
Because we have a much bigger deficit.
Right. Yes, we do. And it's growing every day, by the way.
That we don't have a budget.
But what makes Illinois the situation here so much more complicated is you do have the Republican governor saying, yeah, I'm open to a tax increase, but I'm not going to do it until you, the Democrats who control the General Assembly, give me some of my political and business reforms that I want.
Right.
Term limits, redistricting reform,
Workers'
compensation, a freeze on property taxes, and lawsuit reform.
Right.
That's five that typically come up. We really don't know, if Rauner got one of those, would he be at the negotiating table and would they get a budget worked out? We don't know because it never comes up that way. It's never in that context. But there's really not a whole lot of productive thought about comparing Illinois and Pennsylvania, two different states. But there is one thing that you do need to take into consideration. It makes kind of for an interesting exercise in political science here. One thing that pushed Pennsylvania to get this thing done finally was that their governor vetoed the entire budget.
Right.
Way back in the summer. What Governor Rauner did back in June is he vetoed 19 bills that the Democrats sent him, but he signed one. And that was the one bill that provided funding for elementary and secondary education. By doing that, schools in Illinois, all the public high schools and elementary schools, opened on time in the fall and have functioned pretty much normally through the school year. Now that's going to change because now we're almost
out of money.
Only got a few more months left in this fiscal year, and then we're going to have to talk about the school budget again for next year. But Pennsylvania didn't do that, and that caused a big problem. All during the fall, school districts over there were borrowing and borrowing just to stay operating. They borrowed about $1 billion. Now they're having to pay a lot of interest on that. Finally, in December, the Pennsylvania legislature passed a partial appropriation for schools, but as of this week, the pressure got too much. Schools were going to start having such big problems that they couldn't hold out any longer. And that's one reason why the budget standoff in Illinois has been able to go on the way it's gone on.
Because we don't have parents up in arms wondering what to do with their kids.
We don't. We have schools running pretty much functioning fine.
Right.
We also have state employees being paid
Right.
because of some court orders. And so that portion of state government has been functioning pretty well. If you had, school kids not in school, and
Right.
parents not being able to get to work and whatever,
And
that'd
no
be chaos.
athletic programs going on, yes, chaos.
Yes, with no football games in the fall, I think we
Right,
get some
no
response.
Friday night lights, no.
But anyway, I just found the whole thing kind
So
of an
you don't
interesting
think
study.
that the public relations embarrassment of being the last state will have any effect on any of these
Not-
players in Illinois?
Not based on what we've heard so far. And, the day after the primary election, which was last week, we heard both Bruce Rauner and Mike Madigan
Digging into their entrenched positions.
coming out as strong as ever. So there's not a huge, it's not as if Pennsylvania is completely analogous with Illinois, but I did just find it kind of interesting to compare and contrast the way these two similar states had a similar problem, the way it got dealt with in one state, the way it looks like, in my opinion, it's going to keep on going in Illinois. It doesn't solve anything for us to compare the two, but I found it pretty interesting in the way politics works.
Definitely. All right. Well, that's it for this week's edition. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next edition of Only in Illinois.